Hello and welcome to Polar Painting and Gaming. I'm Kyle. I'm joined by Steven. Hello, Steven.
Hello, Kyle.
Today we're going over a little tactics video on what I would say is like the epitome of what city-states wants to be. Not necessarily a meta list. This is just like, this is what I think of when I think of city-states. So yeah, we came up with this list real quick, and we're gonna go over it. So we've got Polemark Warlord. He's got Aristia and Land Spear. So Aristia effectively giving a regiment Juggernaut, and Land Spear for a little bit more damage output on him. He's going to be in a regiment of Hoplites. It's 6 total stands. You've got the auxiliary stand, Minotaur, and you've got the Doralides. So you're getting Relentless Blows when you strat stack or Entourage. You've got MSU of Haspis. You've got a Hephaestion. You've got 4 stands of Thyrians. Normally I don't recommend 4 stands. I went with 4 stands on this list because I had the points to fill primarily, but also Thyrians are a little bit safer to do 4 stands with. Why I say don't do 4 stands, it has to do with breaking and shattering in the game. So when you have an even number, it's easier to shatter the unit. Not going real deep onto that right now, but Thyrians are a little bit resistant to that due to how many wounds they have, and they have Tenacious.
7 wounds is nice.
Yeah. Then we got the second warband here with an Aristarch. He's got Chrysaors. I don't know how to say that.
Chrysaors.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hunter, I'm sure, will be upset with
Probably.
my pronunciation, and that will please me. So stands in contact with him, lose inspired, unless you're always inspired. And then if he's in a duel, they lose Quicksilver Strike and Flurry. So helps even the odds for him if he gets a duel.
Oh, I think it's worth noting on that is also until the end of the round. So if you're able to initiate the duel towards the beginning of the round, they lose Flurry for the rest of the round.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in a regiment of Thorkides. There's 2 regiments of Thorkides here that are identical, other than one has an officer. So he's going to be in the one that's not with the officer. So it's got just MSU with a Thyrian. Always put a Thyrian Thorkides. They are amazing because it's a Thyrian with the defensive stats of a Thorkide. So makes him D3 instead of D2,
from the front.
D1. Yeah, more often it's pretty good. So then the officer in the second regiment is the TLAoK. So he's going to be using the resolve characteristic of a friendly character stand within 18 inches, and he can use the battlefield orders from the warlord if they're within 18 inches.
Also remember that there's 2 different measurements for that.
Yes, which is a little awkward. So resolve, you have to be within 18 inches of a character stand.
The regiment does.
Yeah, the regiment has to be within 18 inches.
Whereas if it's the
orders,
warlord trait, it's the command stand.
Yeah, so this regiment's command stand has to be within 18 of, is it the character or the regiment? Then I believe it would be the character, because
it's the warlord character. Yeah.
Then we got 2 chariots. I personally think that logs are better when you are under 4 chariots, because they're going to have a better spread of hits due to their torrential fire. You're just going to get more average mileage out of them, I think. And then
Especially in a list like this, honestly.
Yeah. That is the list. We are going to swap over to CTS and just go through like how you would play this on the table. All right. So here we are on TTS, going over like how this looks, right? So turn one, um, you're going to have your auto pick, and then statistically, you're going to get the second pick um, based on the scenario. So this is melee. We're not going to go over every scenario. This is just an example, right? But it's generally going to look the same across the scenarios. Maybe we'll pick out head to head if this doesn't take too long. But so this is generally how we would run this. You've got both Thorkides here on the edge. You've got the Aristarch on the outer side. This kind of gives some flex to this other one that's got the officer in it, because that officer can benefit from either character. So they kind of want to be in between, so they can have some mobility to flex. If you only got one of these on turn one, I personally would go for the one without the character.
Yep.
Especially on a scenario like melee, it's kill points, so you don't want to be extending that character real fast. He doesn't have a lot of offensive output anyway to be alpha striking. You want to keep this nice and steady. You're not trying to blitz forward with these guys. So this is turn one. Turn two, you can auto pick your hoplite block, and they're going to
Oh
push
yeah.
forward to this closer one here, right? We have, was it three other,
One, two,
four other
three,
mediums,
four.
four other mediums. So 1 and 3, based on reinforcement rolls, you're going to get. So we'll say you get one more for this turn, right? I'd pick Prometheus. I'm pretty much always doing chariots last, with one exception, and that's you're trying to get early scoring. The chariot is really good at early scoring because of how
Yep.
fast it is combined with Vanguard. But for the most part, you want to run this slow. You're not trying to blitz forward. You want your line to all move together. So you're gonna have this Promethean. With this particular setup, so Steven, you were saying like you think he's gonna split off this way for the most
So,
part.
so the reason personally I would end up running it something like this is because you have this impassable terrain here. I want this impassable terrain to protect my flank here in case he falls.
Yeah.
You also have this hindering here, which is very beneficial for getting rid of any nasty impacts coming into the other flank if these regiments fall. Plus, as long as you're keeping these within 8 inches, which you can definitely do right here, that'd be a nice
Yeah.
little output.
So 8 inches from here. That's pretty far. So that's kind of
You could probably do
hugging.
from like,
Yeah, the edges can be overlapping. They're gonna be hanging off a little bit. So something like this. So you can reach quite a ways. They're probably gonna be pushing forward a bit as well as you're able to. So they could potentially um, reach each other and be sitting on both points
yeah,
if the Promethean's able to push that far. That's a pretty long distance push.
it is still a long far, especially with nothing protecting his flank over here at the point, or
Yeah.
at this point.
At this point, so these guys have come on. Oop, that was a fun little jump. TTS is really finicky. So how far these guys push this turn is going to depend on how much your opponent is putting on this flank.
Yeah,
If they've got one or two regiments, you can push depending on the strength of these regiments.
I would push this first, especially if it's a skirmishing regiment over here. I would push this regiment.
Yeah. So what I would do, is you're probably going to push. So these guys could theoretically go 12 inches. I wouldn't go that far. I'd
No.
go. I'd probably go about 10. And this is
Yeah.
if you have nearly uncontested on this side. The reason being is we're going to mirror with this regiment, or even a little bit less. Let's say 9.5. But you're going to start wheeling them
Yep.
to start creating kill box. So that way, If this regiment gets charged first, this can collapse on the flank. Again, this is a pretty significant push. This is you're trying to stop a super fast mover. I don't. Well, how far even is this? I don't know if anyone's getting 20 inches.
A Wadroon could.
Theoretically,
Wadroon
Wadroon could. Euroni could. So yeah, if they've got a one fast-moving regiment, you can stop them from scoring that zone if you need to.
Yeah.
Or if they're hanging back, you can push so that your reinforcement line is pushed forward.
This is also where the TLAoK Ghost can easily come into play because you don't need to push this regiment all the way up.
Yeah.
And honestly, you could even tiptoe this on because you'd still be within the 18 inches here to give them unyielding.
Yeah.
So you're shutting down scoring anyways.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. And again, you're not shoving this forward unless your opponent is giving you the flank, because you don't want to outrun your hoplite block, and you can very easily outrun the hoplite block. So turn 3, my auto pick would be Haspis. Oh no, sorry, would it be Haspis?
No, Hephaestion.
Hephaestion, yeah. So you want to get your heavy on. These Tharians are probably the biggest flex piece in the list. The chariots. Let's say we get all but one medium on this turn, right? So we get 2 more mediums. We get the Hephaestion and the Tharians fast.
This would be my pick right here.
Yeah. So Hephaestion, he's gonna be gunning for this zone. You probably are forfeiting it for a little while, so he can theoretically go 14.
I probably wouldn't push them up. Again, this is also dependent on what you're up against.
Yeah. Keep in mind, like, a lot of what we're saying is incredibly dependent on what your opponent is doing. This is just a generic. This is how you would progress. Also, wouldn't necessarily push the Hephaestion on first.
No, he'd probably be towards the bottom of my stack, honestly.
Yeah. I would probably be pushing these hoplites first.
Yeah.
Getting them. They want to go almost as fast as they can. If not as fast
if you can, just get them up there. If you can pull it off, if there is a regiment here, like even, I would say right around here-ish, I would probably try and pop the arrested to march charge.
Yeah.
Because the hoplites, like, they have such a good defense. If that regiment that I'm doing that march charge against doesn't have more than cleave 2, or especially like not having line breaker or anything like that, I would definitely risk the march charge right here.
Additionally, hoplites give opportunist to other regiments to charge in. So if you are able to charge a regiment here, these Thorakides are well placed to flank that enemy regiment that could be there. Right?
Opportunist on Tharians? Ooh, buddy.
Yeah. Probably pushing. So before he comes on, you're probably pushing these Minotaurs on. What is their Vanguard? 3, so they're going 15.
Yeah.
So they're hanging out in the trees. They're getting some defense from shooting. Honestly, the Hephaestion is probably also in those trees to save some damage.
Something like this.
Unless there are no shooters, because then he's giving up impacts if there's something here next turn. So
if there are no shooters, I would just leave him out here, just going straight forward. But otherwise, you'd want that tiptoe. Yeah. But again, that's later.
Luthion's probably coming up, and he's probably starting to wheel so that he can potentially start creating a pillbox. Maybe not even this far yet, because again, the hoplites are slow. He doesn't need to push real fast.
I might do a 1-inch wheel here, personally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do a sharp wheel just because you want to keep him somewhat in line, like you were saying, with the hoplites.
Yeah, keeping them with 8 inches. They're still well within at this point. Then a chariot. So again, the chariots are a good flex piece. You're going to want one on each side, assuming your opponent's evenly distributed. Obviously, if they have regiments that are resistant to shooting, you probably don't want to commit the chariots to that side. You might go for a declined flank and start just shoving hard on this side.
Yep.
Because this is definitely the weaker, slower flank
Yeah.
initially. This side has a lot more potential, so you could double up both the chariots and just swing around, especially with these hoplites, and then just leave a chariot here on this zone.
That's where this first chariot acts as one of the bigger flexes of this setup right now, because you could have him, like he was saying, come up here and just hover in these trees
Yeah.
and just giving out some shots, putting out some pressure, and even some early support for the Hephaestion coming in. But if there is some like crazy resistance going on right here and they are trying to do a decline flank over here, you can just do the push up over here.
And this will start scoring you this zone, assuming the Thorkeys are still doing well, because they can't score. So that medium will. So yeah, then the Hephaestion, he's somewhere in here, most likely.
Over here.
So then turn 4. Another thing about keeping the chariots on off the table longer is this reinforcement line. They have an 11-inch march when they first arrive because of Vanguard, so they can march on 11 and volley. And because they're single stand wide, they're incredibly maneuverable for wheeling. So you could
come in right here,
come in
and
either side wherever you're needed.
Yeah,
could get onto a zone with that Vanguard easily. Whichever side you need. You could even, so like on this side, let's say you bring on the chariot before moving anything, and you've got some pressure. You could, let's see, where are the buttons? Show buttons. So you could angle him on. Let's do a little more. This is just hypothetical, right? You get him up to here. You gotta be a little careful with this because you can end up tripping up your throw keys. But you can effectively offer. Chariots are a pretty good mini anvil. So you can bait your opponent, keeping him off the zone. Get the chariot charged, and then you flank with some Thor keys or your hoplites. Again, you got to be careful with this setup. This isn't a very good example here because this corner of the hoplites or Thor keys get stuck here.
I mean,
these guys.
The last round, your Thor keys would have probably moved over a little bit.
Yeah, you can start preparing for the turn before.
Yeah.
This is just, again, depending on what your opponent's doing, this is a theoretical you could do, or you could keep him back and start hitting something. He could be on the other side doing the exact same thing. Gosh, wheeling in this is such a chore. Let's do this a different way.
Unpleasant.
He could come in like this, get on the zone, try to get, like, actually, I'm going to hide the buttons again real quick. Could try to get an enemy regiment. Ooh, that's a bit long. To do this number, given a nice flank to either the Minotaurs or most likely the Hephaestion. Because
at this point, I would take the Hephaestion in right here and just smash that regiment.
The Minotaurs can protect his flank now.
Get hurt.
Right, so there's just some ideas.
And then you got this other flog to move up here and just keep supporting as well.
But in a more balanced setup, you're going to have a flog on each side, so that when you draw that card, you've got some flex as to which side's going first. And then Thyrians, this is going to depend on where you need a can opener.
Yeah, this is going to depend completely on the game. More than likely, you're going to see it somewhere over here.
Yeah.
Just because the Hephaestion by himself, he's not quite as nasty in my opinion, but he's still good.
Yeah, he's more
for dealing with anything.
He's a bit more resistant to armor piercing.
A little bit, yeah.
So
half hardened. He's also slightly better resolve minus the size bonus. So he's a little bit more resistant to things like terrifying and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. But
yeah, you definitely want to make sure you maneuver these hoplites somewhere in here. And by this time, you're probably at a good point to actually pop the Polymarch Warlord trait, and actually do some good damage with these hoplites.
yeah.
Because while by themselves they're not the greatest, with the Polymarch Warlord and the Dorlates, you're talking about a lot of just sheer amount of hits, not quite quality hits. Because you'll have, what, 7, 11 with Cleave 1.
Right.
It's good, not great, but then you have another 5, 9. Yeah, another like 15 hits right here.
Yeah.
All with Relentless Blows, all Clash 3.
Clash 4.
Clash 4 because of Inspire.
Yeah, because you're entouraging.
Yeah. So he'd be Clash 4 re-rolling 6s, Clash 4 re-rolling everything because of Flurry. You got some good potential here for just sheer quantity of hits.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so we'll TTS. We'll reload real quick. We'll do a even quicker overview of head-to-head because that's a bit of a different setup. Back on head-to-head now. So this is a rough placement of where things would be. We haven't taken the time to like measure each turn out. This is just generally how you're going to lay them out. You're going to have the Thor keys over here without the character helping out with this flank onto the zone. Hoplite Brick is just going for the zone. These Thor keys can be used to tow on and get unyielding from the Warlord if you need that. And then hoplites are coming up to support. You're gonna have this chariot in this water. Again, you may not have the same terrain, but with this terrain, chariot doesn't really care about clashing. If something wants to hit the chariot in the water, go for it. Just go crazy with that, man. I'm happy you did.
I'd push him up to even almost force the regiments to have 3 stands in their minimum.
Yeah, and then you got the Promethean staying outside the water. He's trying to stay in the middle to get as much with his buff as he can. We put the Hephaestion here so he can flex either way.
The biggest problem for us is this right here, whether it's Garrison or
it's not Garrison.
whatever it may be in your table setup is what I'm getting at.
Garrison. If you're playing Garrison, I hope it's a really fun, casual game. If it's a tournament, call the judge.
Yes, Garrison needs fixed big time.
Yeah.
But either way, it gives him some flexibility of which way he needs to go in case they push hard here, trying to push for the extra points here. You have him to counteract.
Yeah, you got another chariot here. It can also flex. It can even get past him if it really needs to.
Oh, easily. The wheeling of chariots is phenomenal.
You got the Haspis here, just screening off the zone and gradually pushing if you're able to. You want to be careful with this because this is a kill point, so you don't want to get baited across the table if you don't need to be. They're fine to just and be a counter.
More than anything, he's trying to just screen this point. They're not good for pushing.
Yeah, and then this
rarely good for pushing. I should take that back.
You're not pushing hard with them.
No.
This is just more prevention and support for when these Haspis come on.
Yeah.
If your opponent is offering no resistance over here, you can start pushing them a little bit to get that reinforcement line up so that you could have a sideways chariot come on potentially.
This over here would be more like testing the water, seeing if your opponent's going to react, how heavily your opponent is going to react here. Just because they're not very great in and of themselves, but they are great for testing.
Yeah.
Testing how your opponent's going to react, testing how the game itself is going to develop, and that's where all of this can like flex where you need it to.
Yeah, and then these Thyrians, this is incredibly dependent on the game where they're needed.
This would be a little sketchy for them just because of the broken ground, but it's not that big of a deal because again, 7 wounds.
Right.
That not being hindering is amazing. I would be tempted to keep them more on this side because of the water and because of how dense everything is already over here.
Yeah. It just kind of depends. Like how is block doing? Is it
Yeah.
winning the attrition game or is it losing?
If it's lost, I would say 3 stands by the time these guys are ready to come on. I would be pushing them on this side.
Or even if your Thorkides are completely gone,
Yeah.
you could narrow this down to 3 stands wide and fit through here. Or
Yeah.
depending on where your reinforcement line is at, come in at an angle. So yeah, this has been just a dirty tactics video. It's only been one video on what we think is like the epitome of what a source. Oh my gosh, I'm really screwing up. City States.
Are you all right?
City States is my main faction. I play other factions, but this is my.
I swear I had to go to Athens to just to repent for my sins of playing Sorcerer Kings.
We'll see. But yeah, if you, I'm planning on doing more of these with different lists. If there's like a specific list archetype you'd like to see, hit me with it. I'm planning to have Steven on to do all of them with me. I like having the conversational style to go over this, and Steven has different thoughts than I do. So
yeah. We also play City States similar but different.
Yeah.
We'll come up with similar lists, but also play them very differently. So it's quite fun.
Yeah. So hope this is helpful to you. Hope you learned some stuff. Catch you next time.
Yep.